Greetings and happy Monday. Happy 12/12. It's a day of manifestation. It's a very powerful day, and I am grateful to be here with you. Mindfulness Mondays with Iya Kemi and The Good Life, brought to you by UC Davis and the City of Oakland. It is a pleasure to see everyone's face that has been able to join us, and those who will be seeing the replay afterwards. We thank you as well for participating in this beautiful, glorious day and being mindful. Apologies for us being in on late. Time is an illusion. However, we will make sure that you get all that you are normally used to, your full 60 minutes, to make sure that we are still giving you the best of Mindfulness Mondays. If you did not see, today's topic is trust. Trust. Now, trust has many different meanings in how we look at trust and what trust can bring into our lives. And is it a feeling or is it something that is not a feeling? That is a question. Sometimes people may say it's an action, or is it a choice? I choose to trust the process. Or is it really just an actual feeling or an emotion? When doing looking up the word, because I'm very big on words, and we know that words are vibrational, and we are electromagnetic beings that are operating off of vibration and water. So we can program ourselves to flow with it, or we can not flow with it. Whatever the case may be, we are here to bring some mindfulness to ourselves as human beings and the energy within ourselves so that we can align with our higher selves and our purpose of what we're here to do and be. So, in looking at the meaning of trust, it's saying that it is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, and ability or strength of someone or something. It is also, in law, it could be an arrangement. We think of trust and we think of the trustee. And who do we trust to take care of our stuff when we cross over or when we're ill? It also talks about allow credit to a customer, for example. But when I look at trust, because I can understand the trustee part as I am a trustee, but what does that mean? Because for a person to entrust something upon you it could be a big responsibility, and it could be a heavy responsibility for those that may not even want that responsibility. But in that, how do you trust yourself? How do you trust yourself to do the things that you said you would do for here or as you are here? Some say, do you trust in God's word? Do you trust the promises that were given to you? Do you trust yourself in regards to how you move and how you feel? Do you trust your feelings, or can someone come in and easily persuade you away from what you know to be true for you? Because it is, again, a feeling. It is an emotion that is incredibly powerful and a natural part of our human relations. So, how do we relate to people? Politicians, we always say, can you really trust the people that are in office? Can you really trust family members? There was a time when we trusted and our trust was lost. And it can go all the way back to years and years ago, our ancestors and those before us, how we may feel betrayed. But in that, what is the trusting relationship with yourself and your higher consciousness? Because this focus is more so on you and not the other people. So when we trust ourselves, we begin to attract the energy that is in alignment of what we trust within ourselves. And when we ask our spirits to reveal something for us to get an answer, are we even trusting the answer that we get when we see the answer? Oftentimes we'll sit there and we'll toggle and say, okay, I feel this way, but I had this particular vision or this particular outcome that I was expecting. And then you see something totally different. Does it make you not trust the process of what's unfolding? Or does it make you trust the process that is unfolding in order for you to make the necessary move for yourself? I.e., we often trust doctors. We trust them and we say, oh, you prescribe this medicine and I'm trusting you, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. But yet we might not trust that green vegetables may be even better for us. It is simplicity of this way that we relate to ourselves as humans. And again, understanding how that flows in our lives. Because again, it's an emotion. It's not really concrete. That trust can waver or it cannot. Some may trust more so on their higher self or trust in God more than they trust in person, which allows them to have more people come into their lives that are in alignment with what it is that they are doing, feeling and saying. And sometimes it requires skill with that, right? We have to build that muscle up when it comes to trust, especially if we've gone through trauma, especially if we've endured a lot of people lying to us or omitting things. But we have to look at ourselves. What are we omitting within ourselves? What are we not being honest with ourselves? How do we not know what our triggers are if we cannot even tap into that part of ourselves? Now, there's something called the 3 C's of trust, and it's funny because I saw American Express with this as being part of their mission, and it says consistency, competence, and caring. Consistency, competence, and caring. So, in what ways are we competent about our experiences? In what ways were we cared for in our upbringing? And in what ways has that played out in how we care for ourselves today? Because we had to have someone teach us something on what that looks like. Same thing with consistency. Some people are consistent in their discipline, and they're consistent in waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're trusting this process of the day to unfold this way because they've been consistent in this. Now, to take it to the 5 C's of trust, it also adds communication and character. Communication and character. in alignment with that. And then comes the 70 additional boundaries and reliability. What are your boundaries? What are you reliable for? And who's reliable in your life? Or who can you account? Who's accountable? Who holds you accountable? Do you hold yourself accountable? Are you reliable? Do you have boundaries? I also would add non-judgment in this process, because we understand when we come encounter with other people, they are showing us a reflection or a part of ourselves that we either haven't tapped into or a part of us that we need to tap into and learn. Instead of judging it, ask what it's here to show you and trust the process for it to unfold in the timely manner that it's going to unfold. In this, you want to hold your integrity. You want to still be true to yourself, but be open. Being open to trust that spirit is guiding you down a path for you to see something that you may not have seen before. For example, you may be in a circle of people that you always been around, but you've now been doing certain work that has elevated you in a sense that you do not entertain some type of conversation that you once entertained. Does this mean that you can no longer trust these people? Or does it mean that you're just trusting the process that you're growing and that these people will still be a part of your life, but just at a different capacity? Because you're trusting your growth, your elevation. So as it pertains to even that, how does that go? Hello, Alana. I see you've raised your hand. I want to say greetings to all of you guys, but you raised your hand, so I definitely want to acknowledge that and see if what the question was or what you would like to put in the space today with the intent of trust.
Well, it's interesting that you would have like the first three, the consistency, the being confident and caring. And it's not that I'm putting my business out there in the street, but I knew my ex-husband and I were not going to make it because I gave him 3 days. I said, if he's the same way 3 days, then I know we'll make it. Not, was never consistent. That was the first thing. So we never made it 3 days. He was never competent in what he tried to do, even the first day. And he sure wasn't caring. And that's interesting because that is what helps to build trust, right?
Absolutely.
That you see the person, that they're consistent in their behavior, which my husband now of 22 years is definitely. He's consistent, he's definitely caring, and he's definitely competent in what he says that he's going to do for the family. And so it's really and those are those that's very important in a relationship,
Very
because
much
if
so.
you can't put that to someone, if give them 3 days, if they can, I give them 3 days, if they can't, if they can't do it in 3 days, back away, ladies, back away. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. You know, it's interesting that you even put the number 3 in there because as a numerologist, I do look at the energy of numbers. And if you think of the number 3, it has a lot to do with expression. So communication was a part of the trust. And it also has to deal with independence as well. And we have to think when it's 1 plus 1, it really doesn't equal 2 because you're your own energy, they're their own energy, and you're actually creating a third energy. So what is that third energy really, what does it really unfold as? Because if this person has traumas and they haven't dealt with it, and this person has traumas that they haven't dealt with, then it can create something that's a trauma bond. So we have to look at, okay, well, where was I when I attracted this experience? Was I confident in myself? Was I caring with myself? Was I consistent with myself? Was I even competent what I was getting into? You know, the beautiful thing that I love that Phyllis added in the group was faith. Because you have to have faith in order to even trust the process. You have to have faith to even be aware that you're going to put yourself in a space of non-judgment of the person, but judge what's for you because of those boundaries. Because you're holding yourself accountable for your happiness, you're holding yourself accountable for your love, and we can't be casting our pearls upon swine, so to speak. We have to be mindful of that. And if we are, then is it a trauma bond? Or is it that I've just now grown and I'm continuing to grow, and these said individuals or these said places or things are just not part of me anymore? So am I trusting the process that I'm being guided to something greater and better? And in your case, after 3 days, you have a year, 22 years of marriage. And 22 is a very powerful number. It's a master number. And when you add 2 plus 2, that's 4. So a foundation has been built there, So we have to trust that process of self first and foremost, because if we're not in tune with self, then we're not able to see the energy that we're in, and we don't see our independence, or we lose our independence. How many times have you possibly lost independence because you've given this trust to this person, thing, or situation, and then it's something that doesn't necessarily prove you wrong, but it helps you to see something in a different light in order to know, okay, this is just not for me right now, right? So thank you for sharing that. Phyllis, thank you for sharing faith. Is there anyone else that would like to put an intent in the space to kind of go with this flow of things and how this word trust feels for you? Miss Benton, I think you're muted. Let me get you to unmute.
Yeah.
There you go.
When you were saying trust and all the words you was using, I was trying to feel trust. Who would feel trust? And then I thought, wow, it would be like a baby. A baby would trust that his mother would take care of it, won't let it fall, won't hurt it, feed it when it's hungry, change it when it needs to be changed, bathe it. He trusts his mother. So there's a bond and trust there, and that's what I felt. That who would really, do you know if you can trust your husband? Do you know if you can trust your friend? A baby has a feeling that it will trust his mother, won't let it fall. That's what I was feeling when you said trust. That's the word, that's the vision that came to me.
And it's beautiful that you even said that, because trust is yes, babies do trust. They're the closest to God to me, because they haven't gone through certain things in life. They may not be able to speak, but if you start talking to them, they gonna be like, like they understand and you understand them.
Yeah.
And I had the beauty to go to a christening yesterday, and just to watch the baby, how babies are, oh, this person holds, but there's something in their spirit that either they don't trust the person and they start crying because that person's energy is off. And so the baby will say something and be like, okay, and the parents will be like, maybe I shouldn't trust that person because my baby cries every time she holds her, or he my son or my daughter is being held by this particular person. So even in trusting our babies, it could be our business that's the baby, our hearts are a baby, but how are we nurturing our hearts?
They have a fear.
How are we nurturing ourselves?
Yeah. I went to a seminar and they said babies have a fear of falling and humans have a fear of fire. So they made us get this stick with fire. And they said, when you put the fire in your mouth, close your mouth right away. So you won't do the air. The mouth is not closed, but the fire will not go out. That's why you see people have that fire. And we had to do that trick, and I was able to do it. So that's one thing they taught me. They say, babies have a fear of falling, and humans have a fear of fire. Thought I'd share that.
You said fear of the fire, humans
have
adults?
Fear of fire. And we do. The house catching on fire. We have a fear of fire. I mean, you could get burned, you could die. Yeah.
It's interesting that that term fire is coming up. That's been a theme this weekend in regards to fire and in correlation to water. Fire is kind of, you can't contain fire. Fire can be uncontrollable, especially if a gust of wind comes in.
Mhm.
So how do we even work with the element of fire within ourselves? Because oftentimes we become lack of trust because of our experiences, and then it creates this boiling little volcano that's just sitting there because you really can't express what you want to express to the person that may have, you know, created the trauma. And then oftentimes, if we don't think first, that fire just comes out and we
Mhm.
and we go off. But
Mhm.
how can we really contain that fire? Because that's dealing with the root chakra. That's dealing with the fight or flight energy within ourselves. So why is it that we can't deal with that lower vibration of ourselves in order to operate and understand that everybody hasn't gotten to the heart space?
Mhm.
Everybody hasn't learned how to flow like water, because nobody is an enemy to water. I mean, you shouldn't be an enemy to water. Look at how majority of this earth is filled with water. The
Mhm.
ocean could just say, hey, I'm coming from the depths of the ocean that you guys don't even know how deep I am, and I can just take out this land just like a tsunami or a hurricane.
Mhm.
But yet we don't want
Mhm.
to address the fire, because again, when we're in fire, fire is actually transformative, but we don't see that
Mhm.
because we think of hell, this fiery place that we might go to if we don't have good character and we don't trust God.
Mhm.
So it's been a stipulation towards that element, that how do we work with that fire within ourselves to still trust our process and allow us to flow like water in that element? Yes, Alana.
How is it that, well, two things that's interesting that that Ms. Benson would say about fire, because I know if I ever put anything in my mouth that's hot, I'm the first one to open my mouth to get cool air. You know, I want to let it out, you know, and so I think about that, you know. But then you're saying about water, and I don't know. I mean, have y'all heard the saying that Black people are afraid of water when it comes down to
Absolutely.
swimming? So how does how does that how does not all Black people now, of course, you
Correct.
know,
Correct.
they're beautiful, you know, swimmers and divers and all that other stuff like that. But where do you think that comes, where do you think that comes from?
Well, this is a conversation that I have amongst my teachers often, and we have to look at the epigenetics of who we are, of people of color, and the stories that we're constantly told. Oh, you came over on the slave ship, and a
Mm,
lot of the ancestors are in the ocean and the bottom of the ocean, and so that in itself created this fear to not trust water. We're not even taught that majority of our body is water. Our brain is majority water. So if we can't, we've been told that story over and over again. Our subconscious has now become fearful of water, but yet now all of a sudden in the last year or so, you have all these movies coming out about water. You have you have Black Panther, it dealt with the water people. You have Avatar now dealing with the water people. So we have to understand, even the movie that Strange World that Miss Phyllis brought up, you know, water underneath, the depths of the sea, that's your subconscious. So when you create this traumatic story, even with the movie Emancipation coming out, you're still playing the story of trauma and not allowing people to truly understand who we are as a people, as a human being. You don't see stories of the Jewish people and the Holocaust. You don't see movies about that. You don't see movies about whatever the Spaniards did to the people of Mexico. We don't see that. But however, we, people of color, that's all over the place. Harriet Tubman and this and slave that and 12-year slave. And So in that story that we've been told, oh, you guys came over on a boat, and then we see the images of them stacked on boats, and it created a fear within us to not want to deal with water.
That's interesting you would say that, because the director of Till said that she wasn't going to show any kind of traumatic scenes
Mm-hmm.
in reference to Emmett Till's death. That was not her purpose, and she was not going to allow that trauma to be felt by that's interesting you would say that. So what are you saying? Are you saying that that we need to replace those images?
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, in order for us to truly heal as a people, we have to see different images of ourselves. If you think of the pride that everyone had after the first Black Panther to see royalty, everybody started to see the royalty within ourselves. Because again, it's certain things that are tapping into our subconscious, and we're going to these movies trusting the story being told to us. However, there's a higher energy and frequency at play here. As they're saying, God is coming back. What does that really mean? We're coming back into our awareness of ourselves. We're coming back, especially this new generation, especially these COVID babies, as I call them, because they are raising their heads and coming out of the womb. They sitting like, I'm here, hi, because there's a shift in the frequency of this earth. We have to evolve, and if we're not evolving, extinction is a possibility. That's why death is just happening, because some of these people have not elevated their process of thinking. They're not trusting the shifts and change, and then they're like, oh well, that's for you younger people. And then you have those like yourself that are here wanting to continue to learn, wanting to continue to have an understanding of who you are in order to continue to evolve. We have to evolve. We can't keep telling the same story. So yes, I would definitely say we have to reprogram our minds, and that's mindfulness. Being okay, I'm mindful that that's a trigger for me. How does that make me feel when I'm watching that? In order for us to move forward. Miss Benton.
Yeah, and you look at our ancestors, my grandparents and great grandparents, they couldn't swim. Then you hear someone say, I was in a pool, somebody just pushed me in. Now they have a fear of water. But then it gets to the point you got to face your fear. I took swimming lessons when I was 21, and I made sure my kids have swimming lessons because we fish. I don't want them to fall in. So you have to face your fear. And back in the day, we didn't have swimming pools in our backyard. White folks did. We didn't have access to that. They swam, you could just see them, all that. We didn't have that. Our grandparents didn't have that.
Nope.
So that's another thing. And now the day that we is when I took my kids over there to the sports center, there almost was the only little Black kids, a lot of Mexicans. I thought this center was built for us. No, but nothing but Mexican kids are in there taking swimming lessons,
Yeah.
But I put my kids in there when they were young, Hay would plunge. She said, wait till they're at least can blow. But, I put my baby to 6 months. She said, no teacher to blow. I said, okay. I took her home, blow. You got to know how to blow before you can go back to take a swimming lesson. I was determined, So we just have to be now, our kids and our grandkids, we just have to get them in there. My grandkids, my great grandkids, I took them all swimming lessons. So
That's beautiful. That is beautiful, especially to start them, young. It's really, really, it's good. It does get them over the fear. We have to understand we were in the womb, and the womb was majority water. And there's a disconnect that happens from there. And even as you said, the Hispanic children or Mexican children, when you go to Mexico, there was water everywhere. They have rivers just rolling everywhere. They had a lake. Most people don't know that Mexico City was once a big lake, but the Spaniards came in and they drained the lake and created what they created, So it's a various amount of things that, we have to understand that we will float, if we really just tap into the breath, we can float on water because we are water, So the fear of that is we have to trust.
You hear about that. People say if you get into the beach and you get into one of those whirlwind, don't fight it. Just go with it, and you'll come
Yes.
out. So we have to learn the knowledge of water. We have to learn the knowledge of fire. You're in the kitchen, you get a fire in the stove, but don't put water on it gets big. No, you grab salt. You put
Yeah.
salt on it. So it's just
Right.
learning the knowledge of whatever we need to learn. Yeah.
Yes. Because even when it comes to the fire, we'll be like, don't touch that stove. It's hot.
Hot,
And
hot.
the child is going to be like, I want to see.
That was my
They're not
baby.
trusting the human. They're like, but I know this element.
Yeah, that was my baby's first word when I lived on Golf Creek. We had a floor furnace, and she was. I said, "Hot, hot." And she goes, "Hot." And that was her first word wasn't mama. Her first word was hot.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Mm.
even dealing with these elements, how do we trust how those elements are within our body? Are we even connected to it? Because that fire, again, will, when we're triggered by something, are we paying attention to the temperature in our body rise? Or are we paying attention to how cool and calm our body is? Because that is the flow. You know, the breath is unseen. We don't even see air, but we know we're breathing something. We're
Yeah,
trusting that.
come to think about it, if a person's running and they're on fire, that air is getting, they're gonna keep burning, but they say drop in that dirt or whatever to get that fire out. I just thought about that.
Yep,
That air
absolutely.
and that fire is gonna stay there. That's why you close your
Absolutely.
mouth. It's just knowledge, learning it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And being mindful,
Yeah.
because we're not mindful, especially in the rat race. We're just going, going, going. I got to be at work at this time. I got to do this. Okay, I get off at that time. But where are we taking the pause in our day to acknowledge how we feel? I'm really tired today. Okay. I'm really, this kind of bothered me today. I'm trusting my feeling, but why is this feeling here?
Mm.
Because the trust is what increases your connection. And if we surrender to the experience, then we find alignment in that experience. We find what's in alignment for us, because what may be for you may not be for me. I may not need fire cupping, but I may need something with water to be my healing modality. But if I don't understand that within myself, then how can I truly heal? I'm just kind of going with what the trend is. So to go with the trend is not being truthful to who I am and my makeup. So I have to understand what are my do's or don'ts or likes and dislikes, and trust that I'm solid in that, but I'm also open. So if somebody says, okay, I want you to try this papaya. I don't like papaya. Well, how do you know? But somebody else that you say, there's somebody that you don't really trust, but somebody that you really trust. You might take it from the person and try it from the person that you really trust, more so the person that you're like, yeah, I don't know, your food taste is a bit different from mine, so I don't trust you enough for me to try that papaya. But then you have your great grandmother say, baby, try this, it's good for your heart, or it's good for this. Okay, but when are you open to, again, just trusting a process overall? Because sometimes those people that you don't really trust are showing you something still. They're still showing you something, but it's the alignment within self and the faith that you have to know that you're not going to be led down some road of darkness, because you have been paying attention to how you feel. You've been paying attention to your connection with that said person or even that said thing. It's really a major thing that people, especially Africans in America, we don't trust very well, which then turns to us not trusting ourselves, especially women. Some women may trust and go to a man and respect a man more than they respect their own sister. I've seen that in my generation. And it's trickling down, and I love how we have those that are reaching back to say, you know what, trust the process. I've been there. Trust, you don't want to go there. And we use that word. Learn from my experience. Trust what I'm saying. But then we have to remember, well, our parents lied to us about Santa Claus and the tooth fairy. So where did our first lack of trust come into our lives? When we found out that there really wasn't a Santa Claus, when we found out that there really wasn't a tooth fairy. So that again scales our trust or ability to trust. So do we keep playing along with the stories that we've been told, i.e. the slave movies and all of these things, or do we go deeper and surrender to knowledge or wisdom by tapping into this not is out there, like the internet? Compared to when I was growing up, we had encyclopedias and we had the dictionary. I can't even imagine my mother, they didn't have all of that stuff. You know, they may not have had even that could have afforded a set of encyclopedias. So what was their capacity to truly learn and pass down wisdom if they didn't really know or they didn't even really trust? Because back then it was a different upbringing, especially if you came from a small town like my family. They came from the same town that 12-Year Slave was in, is where my family's from. So how does that play a role in my ability to trust? Because again, going back to epigenetics, sometimes it's in our blood and it comes from eons ago. But if we don't tap into our ancestral DNA, then we don't even know what that means. And that's why I'm a big advocate for ancestral reverence. No, I'm not praising them and raising them like they're God, but I understand that they were here before me and their energy has never died. They're just absent from the body. But I'm trusting the smell that I smell that's letting me know, okay, that's my dad's cologne. He's not, I haven't sprayed it. Why am I smelling it? Let me trust in the unseen. Let me have faith to know that I'm still being supported by the unseen. So it's trusting that unseen parts of ourselves and that depths within ourselves that we need to connect with in order for us to be the wise um, teachers or continue to be students, because I'm always a student. I'm never going to say I'm too smart enough to learn. And in that comes the ability to surrender and find alignment with where I'm to go. So trust is very, very major. Miss Martha, I see that you've joined us and I really want to acknowledge you and not knowing if you're able to speak or not, but I do want to acknowledge you. If there's anything you want to share in the chat, feel free to do so. I will be doing a meditation that is going to pretty much have colors and the array of blue. Blue connects with your throat chakra. And in the throat chakra, it has a lot to do with how we speak to ourselves more so than how we speak to others. Because we are the first ones that are really dealing with ourselves when even if we just humming, but if we're not humming, how are we voicing our truth? How are we speaking our truth in order to trust that in being in our truth that we'll align with people that we can trust, because we're trusting our own truth. We're trusting our inner voice. We're trusting who we are. So how does that play out? How does that go? Okay. So if you want to get in your comfortable space, I'm going to bring the shared screen up. No audio. Hold on one second. let go of what I cannot change. Out of difficulties grow new beginnings. I trust the process. I step forward with confidence and trust my new beginning is appropriate for my bigger picture. My life is important, and I allow myself to be fully in the process. It is safe to release all troubling situations. All of my needs are met. I am full of love, and my attention is on the present moment. No matter what the outcome, I know it will be for my greater good. I am open and willing to live my life in new ways. I trust my future self is guiding me. I am willing to see the silver lining and am open to living my life in refreshing new ways. When I turn inward, I know all is in order. I know I am being guided. I always align with my loving light and focus on what I want with joy and ease. I release all worry and spend my time creating my joy-filled reality. When I focus on what I want, it flourishes and comes to me. I trust each difficult experience is and was a pathway to greatness within me. I am in the journey of my life, and I embrace each moment fully. All setbacks are really growth and part of my overarching life path. I am connected to my true self and know all is in perfect order. I release my need to have things when and how I want, and I turn my trust to the universe. I always get what I need when I need it. I surrender. I trust my path and grow through all challenges with a determination to succeed. I trust the universe is supporting me and I will soar. I am confident and sure of myself. I am connected to my emotions and I feel them fully. I reflect on my pain and see what needs to be changed. I honor my needs. My life is in perfect balance because I take care of myself and follow my heart. I am the calm in chaos. I am hopeful in all areas of my life. I turn my fears over to the universe. I am aligned with my truth, which is love. Love will guide me home. I am love. I am trustworthy. I am connected to my purpose. I am. allow the vibration of I am to continue to resonate, giving thanks and praise to the body that you are in with gratitude, with trust, with love, with care. Take a couple of deep breaths to bring you back in connection with those words, those affirmations. To be present in the now, knowing that that is you and you are it.
Thank you. You brought this where it was needed. This was today. Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. There were other arrays of colors there that appeared, and I'm not too sure what may have stood out to you. I know blue stood out to me initially because I know I am working on that aspect of my life. But
Okay.
then I began to see all the other various colors. Miss Alana.
Mm.
Well, I think what stood out to me probably, I mean, the colors were vivid, but um it's the fact that they were moving so slowly. They were like viscous, kind of thick. And being in healthcare, I immediately went towards looking, they look like blood. And red is oxygenated blood. So I think heart, right? But then blue, when the blood travels back to the heart, it's blue because it's deoxygenated
Mm.
and it's cold. So when
Mm,
somebody is dead, they turn what?
blue.
Blue.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I was off on a totally different plane. You know, I
But
wasn't thinking
it's
trust.
still connected. It's still connected, though, in a sense,
Mm.
because you thought about oxygen, which is the unseen, and then you went to the heart.
Mhm, mhm,
And then you said
mhm.
dead. And what comes to mind is what needs to die in our thought process in order for us to trust.
Huh,
The
huh.
surrendering,
Surrender, right? Self, right?
the surrendering of yourself, even as you said, the unoxygenated blood that's unseen, it's blue.
Yeah, yeah.
The polarities in even that, you were able to see the polarity in the
Hmm.
duality. So in that, you still were in the process of trusting.
Mm.
You were still in the process of trusting, although, but you took what you're familiar with and brought it into a space where we're discussing trust. So you have to even understand and trust the process of you being on another plane that's still connected to the whole.
Huh. Thank you.
You're never separated from the whole, so it still has some connection and relevance to what today's topic is.
Okay. Well, thank you. I thought I was out there
No,
somewhere.
not with, especially with you bringing the heart into the space, because that's where we're supposed to operate from, the heart. And the word love, we automatically associate with heart or heartbreak
Right.
or things of that nature. So for you to bring that into the space, I saw fire and I did think blood, but I did see the fire element in that smoke or what have you. So it's still connected because death is really not death, it's a transformation into something else. Because as we say, a person may die in the body, but their spirit is still living.
Still living.
And we have to
Right.
trust that they're still living, they're just absent from the body. So how, again, you're on another plane, how often are you absent from your body and not truly feeling what it is that you're experiencing and trusting the process. Still all relevant. So thank you for
Okay.
sharing that.
Okay, well, thank you. That
Thank
made me
you.
feel, it makes me feel more normal.
We're definitely normal. We're just showing different aspects of ourselves that we're a part of. So I appreciate it. I really
Okay.
truly do. And Miss Benton, did you have a share that you would like to put in the space?
I don't know. I just when I saw the different, because I meditated this morning, I do it every morning. But when I saw I would see the colors, and then I would close my eyes, and then I could see the colors and hear what you said. So that was really interesting, and things I'm going in my life. I needed those words, that she was talking about,
Awesome.
and I thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for trusting me to guide you. Because at one moment I was like, do I say something? And Spirit was like, yes, where's your affirmations? You have to, have to, have to, have to. So I was definitely led by the energy and frequency that is present. So I truly appreciate you both for um, logging in. And again, I'm acknowledging Miss Martha's energy because she's still prevalent with us. And I want to thank Miss Phyllis for putting the word faith in the space, because we definitely have to have the faith of a mustard seed in a sense to trust the unknown, to trust what we don't see in order for us to not die with our dreams and our visions, because they say that the richest place is the cemetery, because so many people have died without manifesting or birthing or trusting their dreams and going after their dreams and what they're here to do, or trusting life and expanding, and they held on to whatever heartache or heartbreak or whatever trauma that may have caused an early death, or the situations that they were in. They trusted someone and they really shouldn't have trusted them. So we have to understand that the wisdom that those that have gone before us leave something to us to really learn from, and even our own experiences and trusting those things, because one of the affirmations were in there talked about past experiences, and even trusting that that's what's got us where we are here today, still alive, still breathing. But where do we find the joy in all of it? And trust that only greater, like, okay, I've been through all of that, so nothing else can really stop me because I've been through all of that. So I trust that only goodness is coming, because if when it goes bad, that means something greater is coming. But we have to surrender. We have to let go. It's like a bar of soap. You hold it so tight, it's going to, it's just going to pop out. And we tend to hold people in certain expectations. We continue to hold ourselves in certain expectations that create us to just pop out or die or close in and not even open up to trust anyone. So again, I'm grateful that you trust this process of mindfulness Mondays with me, and trusting the city of Oakland and the good life to be present and show up for yourselves so that you can continue to evolve and live the good life. I really truly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I
Yes, Miss
ask,
Ramon.
one thing is that, one, the classes have really made me a lot calmer when I think through the week, you know, things that we discussed on Monday, I kind of put things into, I start to, I'm better at putting things into perspective. Let's just put it like that. I used to just look at things on a superficial level. Now I allow myself, because I wasn't trusting myself before, to go a little deeper, but not too deeply, because
Right.
I can get lost. I can get lost.
Yes.
I
The
know that
rabbit
about
hole. Yes.
I know that about me. But I did want to ask if there is ever a time when we can go through the different chakras. And let me tell you why I asked that. Because I want to say for the past 2 weeks, pictures of the woman who is with her legs crossed and the different color chakras, I have just been inundated with that, working, something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And so I said, "Oh, I know who to ask about that."
Well, it's a beautiful question that you ask, and the Good Life just put in regards to the new block of classes from January to March. My intention was to go over the chakras for the next 3 months. So I definitely will be touching on that and the alchemy of who we are. I do have a summit that is coming up that I will share with the Good Life if they want to share it with their email list. That will have different speakers talking about the alchemy of our body on various different planes and different ways. So I definitely hope that you sign up for the next block of classes from January to March of 2023, which will be launched soon on their website. And yes, that will be my focus all of the next session to go into the chakras and what that really truly means to mindfulness. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So it is my desire and trust that you will have a blissful week and that you will continue to be open to the abundance that is coming your way. And may you continue to live the good life and join any other classes that they have by signing up at thegoodlifepath.org. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday.
Great.
Thank you. Have a
Have a
Thank
blessed
wonderful
you.
day.
week.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
You as well.
Bye.
We did it again, Naya.